How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm back on Imandra. For once, I've only got really one mission left. It's called Everything for the Pictogram. I'm going to go and do it, but kind of. You'll see why. It's basically, while exploring the map and doing all of the various missions, I must have already selected this mission and kind of, like, stopped tracking or whatever. And as I've been driving over various bits of the map, I've been collecting some of the checkpoints for this mission without even knowing it, really. It was there and, like, a square on the floor, and I drove over it. So by the time I actually selected this mission, there's only one square left, so as soon as I go to drive there to start the mission, I complete it. But it's basically a lap of like the middle island anyway, so I took a couple of vehicles. I wanted to try out this Cat CT680 because, to be honest, it's got like quite a lot of muscle and everything to it, even on this map. However, yeah, it doesn't do well over rocks, because the rear suspension is kind of like, it has no suspension. It has got what somebody called like rocker arm suspension, but there's no actual give to it, and the stats in game count it as like zero suspension. So yeah, it gets caught on rocks quite a lot. It can also bounce over them, and as you can see with snow, it's wasn't really having the best time. I just cut about just over 30 seconds out there and only travelled, well, you can see, horrifically slow. And I wouldn't even say that's specifically this thing, really. It's kind of like what I've been noticing driving back through the snow is there's kind of like a default speed limit through the snow, and it doesn't really seem to matter. There might be a little bit in it, but it doesn't really seem to matter how quick your vehicle is, how powerful it is, how heavy, etc. It can help up to a degree, but then it's like there's just a default speed limit that nothing really seems to go through there quicker than it'll allow you, and that's pretty bloody slow. And then yeah, got all the way down this hill, just get stuck on a rock at the end. I know it's a pretty bad start, but we'll get there in the end. So I sent in my second Cat CT680, and as you can see, it's no better, even with the sideboard off and no loaf. I mean, I brought a goddamn professional with me. You'll see why later, because it comes in handy quite a lot, if I do say so myself. Yeah, so slow, ended up winching to that just to try and drag me down the hill. And I believe that was like all-wheel drive and diff locks and stuff, so yeah, not the best thing. And then got down here with this Cat CT680. Managed to nudge that one over the rock. And then got this one stuck on the rock and the next one. At any point now, I could jump out the sideboard with a loaf, but I wanted to keep the loaf in the sideboard. It was kind of like I wanted to do a lap with both trucks, one with a loaf, one without, and see if there's any differences, see if what went better, what went worse, etc. In the end, yeah, I was like, sod it, send in the Dolphin. There's no point in messing around. And yeah, to be honest, because I've been jumping around doing quite a lot of different trucks, I've still been using the Dolphin a little bit, but not as much as I normally do. And it's yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good to whip the old Dolphin out and go for a little lap. There's a little glitch there, but you can see, yeah, motoring over the rocks, it's because there is some give to the suspension, it like, the suspension can flex instead of just flicking your whole truck over left or right, and again, you'll see the results or consequences of no suspension really a little bit later on with one of the Cats. And admittedly, although this is pretty slow now, it is doing better than yeah, those Cat. Again, like, it's more in the middle of the Cat, like with the fuel tank and stuff. It's like a little box in the middle, that's what she said, and it just, every time you drive over something, it kind of locks between those two axles, and yeah, trying to get over it's a right pain in the arse. So I tried ramming both of them out of the way, that didn't really work. Almost got caught on it. At this point I was like, god damn, I was about to stick a winch on the loaf. I'll pull myself out of there. But yeah, in the end I was able to drive over it. Job done. Get yourself a Dolphin while you're at it. So yeah, it wasn't the best start to the situation. All I had to do was drive down to the, well, you'll see this square on the map, and 2 attempts kind of failed. It does go through the ice pretty well, and I have noticed this, I've mentioned it before, going over the ice, even if you have a truck that has suspension but you broke the suspension so it's just sat flat down, it doesn't seem to break the ice, or it'll break it, but it doesn't really seem to sink through as much. So that's one area that's kind of benefit. I still wouldn't rely on it, but it does appear to do something. Yeah, this is the only square I've got left, so to start the mission, I have to do that, and yeah, finished in one. was it 280 XP? It shrinks the screen, so I can't really tell. Not too bad. Not bad for a second's work. But yeah, I had a feeling with a few situations how this would pan out. Dropper in gear and we're off. And yeah, I mean, I definitely like this cat for the amount of power it's got. It's got a lot of muscle going for it. But say going along here, as you'll see, a little bit too keen for its own good. And there's not a hell of a lot of weight to this truck really, so once you get up to into those higher speeds, it does kind of skate round, even though I've got chained on and, yeah, I'm on ice. I mean, it still does slip to a degree on ice anyway, but this thing is particularly slip happy once it's hitting the high speed. And I also think, again, to a degree, because there is no suspension as such, I don't know, yeah, there's kind of like, instead of some squidginess to it, it sort of just really does skid along the top. Which probably is kind of realistic in the sense of like a more boaty car kind of flexes and leans going round a corner. A car that's absolutely solid and on its dick is just going to slide around. It's like a lot of drift cars are lower than it. So yeah, hit a rock, and that's, like I said, one of the issues with the Cat is because there is no give in the suspension. When I went over that rock, it just flicked my whole truck over instead of like being able to soak some of it up. Just show you, this is why you always put your life seatbelt on, you see. When you don't, he's out of there. Like, oh no, speak to me, life. Goddamn professional there, you see. Been loaf trained for these kind of situations. I actually genuinely think I could have got out of there just rocking backwards and forwards, but like, sod it. If I can launch a winch out. It's got his super winch on, so it's got some pretty good length. That's definitely what she's had. So yeah, we'll go and give it a go with Loaf and Cat. And as you can see, it's not quite as just launching off the start, but it's still picking up the speed pretty nice. It's still going through the auto gears, but even though there's a nice little bit of drift into it, it's not like an out-of-control maniac. Got through there. Pretty nice, all things considered. And again, you see that it kind of just had time to jump over the ice rather than seriously punch through it. This is just me messing around now. I was going to, yeah, learn from my mistakes. Just quickly pop the Loaf seatbelt on. And of course, forget to put it back in first gear. The amount of hours that has cost me accidentally reversing off a mountain or something. But yeah, this is as far as I managed to get with the Cat on its own. It just went a little bit too mental for its own good. I have to say as well, another thing is once you actually do break through the ice, because like I said, it's not just a guarantee, it just seems to help a bit. This thing actually has a chance somehow of crawling back out. I've had pretty goddamn luck with getting back out of there, which is surprising because, like I said, the fuel tank and everything between the front and rear axles sits so low that you catch it on loads of stuff and it's like a pain in the arse. I'm surprised it doesn't kind of catch on the lip of the ice where it kind of goes back from breakable to non-breakable. But yeah, just again, that having like the slam down suspension, I'm not sure if it's because there is no give in the suspension. It's probably like the ice can't just shove your suspension up a bit. It's kind of like the whole thing is just absolutely planted into it and it has no choice but to grip out. I don't really know, but it certainly was going pretty well for me, all things considered. So yeah, as I'm driving around now, I would have gone over some of these checkpoints. I remember, I'm pretty damn certain anyway, one of the blue boxes I would have needed to get us right here where I am now, just after those rocky bits I just jumped over. The mission at the top, it's just gone back to, what is it, Star in the Sky, so I wouldn't worry about that. It does remind me though, actually, because I've not done all the contests and everything yet, like as far as unlocking the trophies in this game goes, I'm not 100% sure myself yet, but I wonder if I can still get like the trophy without completing stuff like Star in the Sky. So obviously it wasn't originally in the game, but they've added it now, it's on the task list and all the rest of it, and one of the trophies is to complete all missions and complete everything, so that's one of the few things I got left. I think I've only got to do like the Zix 10 deliveries in Tamir or whatever it is on the P12. Yeah, so I've not really got a whole lot left to do. A couple of contests to do, actually, to be fair. But yeah, I don't know if, because I've not cashed that Star in the Sky in, I've got all the plane parts back to the airport, but I just kind of kept them to display them kind of in the middle of the airport, so I'm not sure. We'll figure that out, cross that bridge when we get there. I mean, yeah, sadly, caught on rocks far too easily. Just that one sat in the middle. It's not even really clipping the petrol tank there, but... I mean, you can already see from the rear suspension, though, it's kind of like... yeah, like a rocker arm, as that sort of guy said. It's... So they're kind of connected to each other. If one of the rear axles kind of gets pushed up, the other one gets pushed down. But you can see that there's nowhere for the rear wheels to go. They're practically scraping on the sideboard already. So as far as trying to get over rocks and stuff, it's, yeah, like you've already got collapsed suspension. The front is slightly higher. If you do break the suspension, you'll see the nose drop down, but that's kind of less consequential, really, than what the rear end's already causing. Definitely what she said. Well, funny enough, though, as I was playing Mud Runner yesterday, and then playing this, even though the damage mechanics, I think, are still over the top on this game, and they definitely dialed them up, and it did seem to... I think they had it pretty bloody well balanced before. Like, it was actually worth potentially taking your time if you don't want to damage a truck going somewhere. These days, in all honesty, I mean, you might see it later on with the Dolphin and stuff, you can clip something at a few mile an hour and take a massive hit of damage, to the point where it's like, it's not even worth trying to be careful anymore, because the game can just screw you over at any point and delete half your truck anyway, so you may as well just go flat out and, yeah, take repairs with you again. That's half the reason, or part of the reason. I mean, there's 101 reasons to own a goddamn horse with a vehicle. And, yeah, stuck again on another rock this time, though. I am deploying the loaf. This time has come. I'm only cutting out about 10 seconds out. All I was waiting for, as you'll see, is the front axle yet to do that. Just grip on the sideboard so I could ping the nose out. And normally when you jump out the sideboard, like the fact that I've kind of landed in slightly boggy mud, that's sunk my rear bumper in, so it's not really helping me, but Loaf's got options. He's been trained for this situation. He's got backup plans. See? Tips back enough that I can fire up. Again, I reckon I could easily just keep clicking like high gear, backwards, etc. and wiggle my way out of here, but I mean, he's got a winch. Flinging a winch out. Job's a good one. But as you'll see, the Loaf, the professional that it is, eats these rocks for breakfast. Look at it. That's how vehicles should go over rocks, in my mind. Why can this little goddamn horse of a vehicle do it? And a lot of the bigger trucks, even stuff like Collobs, get stuck on those rocks I just drove over in the Loaf. And yeah, he's got the muscle. And now Loaf gets himself a free cap boost. I don't know how many of you tried this, but I have done this quite a bit before. I'll get a fast vehicle behind you in one of the slower vehicles and just kind of force it to boost you along. Apologies, a little glitch there. I've only got the muds on the lake. Well, I prefer the muds, but I mean, I'm on icy, on the lake basically, or river or whatever, so when I'm on the blue stuff, I can't really steer. Once I get back on the snow, I'm alright. Threads the needle, just to the right of me, it all breaks away. Oh shit, my bad. But yeah, that was a lap. I don't know how successful we'll call it. Well, it made it further than this thing. I'll give it another chance, see how it goes. And again, when you set off, it takes off very nicely. Definitely happy with the power on this. This would definitely be a pretty good truck on maps like Michigan and that. But yeah, even here, again with the chained, it's fun. It's a bit mental, but it's not very stable or controllable. You kind of need to feather the throttle really if you're gonna be doing that kind of stuff. But as you can see, drifted, hit the ice, deleted the suspension that I don't really have, also took out the fuel tank. But again, it managed to actually reverse out of there when all wheels were in the ice, which is pretty decent. And at this point, even the front's collapsed, so yeah, that's sat about as low as it can as well. Yeah, you can see with that rock at the back, like, even though I have got collapsed suspension, it makes no odds to the rear. It's trying to drag that rock along with it. Like, it hooks itself on it rather than drives over it, which can be, yeah, a bit tiresome in the long run, especially on maps like this. Funny enough, as I've been messing around on Michigan and all sorts since then, same thing again. I believe, in fact, the same thing again, pretty much the same place, a different rock. I think it was the rock just a little bit further back that I did it with last time. So yeah, finally, as the Dolphin was nearby, I thought, sod it, I'll give that a go, see how that goes. I tried for a second or two to go solo Dolphin, but because I'm none of it. Do you know what? I've said dolphin so many times that YouTube is now recommending me dolphin videos, and it recommended me a video earlier where a guy shagged a dolphin and then tried to explain it like it was some, yeah, not shagging a dolphin, put it that way. And then the worst thing is, I mean, who's worse, that guy or me? Because my first question was, if you stick your dick in a dolphin's blowhole, what base is that? What does that count as? You'd think blowjob, wouldn't you? But is it? I mean, that might be a new base. That might be 5th base. Some whole new dolphin base that us humans just don't get. It was quite convenient as well. Just as I started talking about that, the loaf just flew up the dolphin's arse so hard, knocked it out the other side of the breakable ice. But yeah, I mean, don't blame me. Blame YouTube. Recommended. Listening in on me. I said this ages ago that they listen in. Do you know the biggest proof, kind of, that I have that YouTube just listens to everything you say is, I don't know, a few months ago, probably 6-7 months ago, my granddad was going through some old photos, and his dad, my great-granddad, during the Second World War was like an RAF recovery guy that had to go around like getting all the planes that had been shot down and stuff. And he had a load of photos from when he was in India, in Bombay, in the 1940s. So yeah, I was sat with him talking about that for a bit. And then after that, I came home, stuck the kettle on, sat down, refreshed YouTube, and genuinely it had about 4 different videos all throughout my recommended, saying India in the 1940s, Bombay in the 1940s, and it was like, I've never looked. There's nothing that even would remotely offer me that kind of thing. It's just not something I would type in for no apparent reason. And yeah, so YouTube was definitely listening to what I was saying, and then obviously picking out keywords and trying to recommend videos from it. So here we are now. Talk about a dolphin. I've got dolphin sex videos turning up on YouTube. Once I start getting interracial bread sex on Pornhub, I'm gonna have to make a stand. Not that kind of stand. Well, maybe that kind of stand first. Loaf's having a good old time, enjoying himself. So I haven't got time for a quick Dave story as well. I found a spider earlier, bit of a big bastard. Don't really like spiders, if I'm honest. Anything else, we're all good pretty much, but yeah, not spiders. But it reminded me, I can't remember if I've said it or not, but I'm pretty sure I haven't. But yeah, when we were kids, eventually, we had a room built on the end of the house for Dave, just so we could lock him in there, because it was good for everybody, including Dave. He was happy, he had his own room. But yeah, just as all the room got kitted out, new carpet and everything, which, yeah, was pretty good back then. It was like a treat. And I was just in there, like in his room, talking to him, and a spider ran out from underneath the bed and ran along the cupboard. And he got a can of deodorant out, lit a lighter and sprayed it and burnt this spider. But what he also did was like burn, well, not, yeah, burn, but he kind of made about a 2-foot patch of the carpet go all crispy, where he just like burnt it with the Lynx can basically. But yeah, that was just a quick one. It's live with Dave. See there how all the way round I was going kind of slow in some places, just hit my suspension and everything, absolutely deleted it at that point on some of the ice. And then right now, I mean, my fuel tank's broken, so I may as well just gun it, drop the hammer, see if I can do a full lap before I run out of fuel. Still got the professional with me. But yeah, I mean, the suspension I'm not really worried about, because the Dolphin is pretty damn good, whether you've got that or not. But obviously, yeah, fuel. It's a little bit trollish as well, the Dolphin, for the fuel tank. Like, I've reversed into a wall before, and it deleted my fuel tank, and it's like, what? There's 2 whole axles, 4 tyres, a sideboard, and half a chassis between the back end of this and the fuel tank, but yeah, it decided. Tough shit. As far as like, I can't remember, I might have got a bit sidetracked earlier, but yeah, the damage when you're running over rocks and stuff on MudRunner, I have to say, is a lot more intense. Like, once you actually smash into a few rocks on MudRunner, it completely deletes your whole vehicle basically. And on that game, it's kind of, there's no yeah, like separate engine, fuel tank, gearbox, etc. It's just you have like a health bar of say 600 odd, and if you, as you smash the foot, when you get close to filling that bar up, it kind of like your engine starts popping and spluttering, you got flames coming out of the exhaust, bit like it does in this game. In some ways it's good, in some ways it's bad. I suppose this game, the fact that it's broke everything up, is like, say on this engine I might have only 200 health points. On MudRunner, you could theoretically hit something, take 400 damage to just your truck in general, but you've still got some health left. Or if you added a spare tyre back to your truck, it'd just repair, you know, like it'd fill some of that health bar up. Whereas obviously on this game it's more individual. I like it, by the way, I prefer it that way. I was just saying, that was one thing I did notice, that I smashed my truck up quite a bit on MudRunner, and yeah, I was still able just about to be crawling along. And as you can see, I was flying along, just messing around with the dolphin, rolled it, sending the goddamn professional. As you can see, even though he's been slapped around a bit, he's got a bit of damaged engine, no suspension. Everything else I suppose is alright, no burst tyres. But yeah, see, that's why you get yourself a horse of a vehicle. His roof rack's empty. Rubs his cock on a rock. We now own that rock. It is ours. That's about it for today though. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.